Welcome, Rich Hops pod fans. The La Lakers went from a team that I saw as contenders throughout the course of last season, and they had probably the best offseason of any team. Maybe that's hyperbolic, but I'm just saying, if I were to grade the Lakers offseason so far, it would be like an A to a plus. Like they took this team that found its identity towards the second half of the season, brought back the important pieces, and then brought in some more pieces to make this team mesh well. Obviously, the biggest thing that's going to determine whether or not the Lakers are a championship team is the health of Bron and Anthony Davis, but they got the exterior things right. And Rob Pelinka spent the first half of last season getting punched in the face by all his NBA fans. Who's waiting for him to make a move? He made the D'Angelo, Russell, Jared Vanderbilt, Malik Beasley move. He made the Rui Hachimura move. And most of those moves that turned out to now be long-term plays. Because Rui Hachimura went from a dude that you traded a second-round pick for to be an actual player for your team. In the playoffs, he was incredible. D'Angelo Russell, not so much of the playoff stuff, but he was a very critical part to the turnaround, especially in the regular season, and he brought those dudes back. Malik Beasley didn't play in the playoffs, so you feel cool with letting him walk, but at $2.7 million, which is what he signed for, I'm just like, why did no other's team really called about Malik? He was a high-value, decent three-point shooter dude. Anyway, he went to another championship contender, but there's a couple different ways this team could have went, and I vividly remember as we're walking into this off-season, there's always been rumors around Kyrie Irving and the Los Angeles Lakers. Because let's be real, LeBron, James, and Kyrie have had their ups and downs in their relationship, but it seemed like all of that is squash. And some people saw it as a real possibility, that they used the cap space that they had. That opened up to bring in the third star. And I hated the idea of that. Because then, when you do that, you turn into a team that's calling up people on the veteran minimum. And realistically, if you're available for the veteran minimum, more likely than not, you're not really going to be a super impactful player, especially once we get to the team that are trying to win 16 games. Once we get to the middle of April, maybe they did. Maybe they did call Kyrie Irving, and maybe he did take it May. And I don't really know. But I love the idea of saying, hey, LeBron, I don't know how many years. You got left within legs, but we trust what you did last season. We know that in the playoffs, you didn't like yourself, but I'm assuming that's because of that foot. Anthony Davis, this is your time to shine. We're going to trust these two stars and surround them with pieces that make sense. It seems like a few of the years when all day my words have not been working. It seems like a few of the years where LeBron has been in La. The team didn't look like a team. It was a collection of players on the back of LeBron, on the back of Ad, and then the big old contract of Russell Westbrook. And you put that big three together, then the rest of the pieces didn't really fit. Because you're calling up an old Melo. You're calling up this old player ahead. You're like, hey, we got a roster spot, and you don't have to go through that path anymore. For y'all that are not keeping up, they brought back Austin Reeves on a 4-year, $56 million contract, which is an absolute steal. Now, I know some people are skeptical of Austin Reeves because he's basically had 1.5 really good season in the league, but I honestly thought because of the teams, that did have cap space and most of them being younger teams, and Austin Reeves being a younger player, being 25 years old, that some of those teams are going to throw off a sheet. That is 4 years, $80 million. The Dylan Brooks deal, I was almost positive that the Spurs, the Utah Jazz, before they made their deals, the Houston Rockets, one of these teams is going to call his agent and force the LA Lakers to overpay for Austin Reeves, but to get him at this value is one of the biggest steals of the offseason. That is a do. You got Rui Hachimura, a 3-year, $51 million contract. I have seen some people skeptical about that because Rui Hachimura's great play was basically a half a season once he got to LA. And then the postseason, they're trying to figure out, is that really him? Or was the previous version of him, which was in Washington, which version of him is real? I don't know. I like this as a worthy gamble because he was really good. Like these are his statistics from the playoffs. He's just his playoff player because I didn't even remember in 2020. One, he averaged 15 points per game with 7 rebounds, and he shot 60 field, 60 for 3. They lost a 5 to Philly, but in the first round, he was electric. Shooting these splits. Second round, electric. Less minutes in this one. Maybe just a bad matchup going against the worst. Definitely a bad matchup going against the worst, but still, when he did get the opportunity, he did knock down all of his shots. And then we get to the conference finals. He still was good. He may not have been a 53-point shooter, but he showed you in these 16 games. In the playoffs that he played, he was really good. If you look at his overall stats, once he got to the Lakers, a little less consistent from 3, once he got there, but still was a good player. So boom, you bring back that D'Angelo Russell game. We're talking about 2 years, $31 million. That's not bad value for D'Angelo Russell. I know that everybody's going to talk about the fact that he could not play in the playoffs, really, but you do have to remember that there is 82 games leading up to that. And with LeBron being dirt old, see my words and I worry, with him being as old, D'Angelo Russell is the type of player that could give you real quality minutes in 82 games where you can feel like you have a chance to win no matter what. When he's your point guard, and the Gabe Vincent signed to be 3 years, $33 million is a really good pickup. Now, it can be iffy, right? Gabe Vincent has the makeup of a knockdown no matter what three-point shooter. He hasn't been that in his career. Of course, he played a huge part in what the Miami he just did. Their season kind of turned around once he was inserted to the starting lineup, and obviously you saw what he did in the playoffs. He was extremely streaky, let's be real, because especially when we got to the finals, he couldn't hit a shot. But the series before that, he was Michael Jeffrey Jordan. So for the value that you got him, in 3 years, $33 million, this is a guy that can play for you. But believe it or not, I'm in love with, of course, Austin Reeves signing, and I like these other signs. But the one that made me super excited, and surface level when it first happened, I don't really think about it. I don't really compute it. Taurean Prince signing for 1 year, $4.05 million is an absolute steal. Taurean Prince is one of those dudes that has just always been on mediocre, I guess is the world teams, where you don't really recognize him unless you really, really like the end of the NBA. And now he's going to the biggest market that is possible. And a lot of people are going to realize how good of a pickup Taurean Prince is. For the entirety of his career, he's been at 38, I guess I can check it, 37th three-point shooter. Last year, he was a 38th three-point shooter. He gets him up. That's 3 attempts per game with 22 minutes. He is one of the type of players you want to put around LeBron James. I feel like the best version of LeBron. The reason why you won a championship back in 2020 is because you had LeBron and you had shooting. And then they shipped all that shooting away and brought in Russell Westbrook. And then everything kind of closed up. I'm not blaming Russell. I'm just saying they've had a lack of shooting then. And Taurean Prince and the idea of Gabe Vincent and Rui Hachimura have got to shoot similar to what he did. In the playoffs, those are shooters that you could put around LeBron. And Taurean Prince is a plus defender. Again, LeBron does have this I don't know, effect sometimes on these role players where they become a part of LeBron James' team and they immediately forget how to hit a shot when they've been hitting shots for 9+ seasons in the NBA. So I'm just going based on the track record. You know what I'm saying? He might get I don't even know. He might fall off like some of the other people do. When they play with LeBron, the pressure's too high because once you play with LeBron, you're playing for championships at the end of the day. And maybe that pressure's too much. But just going based on what Taurean Prince has been throughout the course of his career, he's an amazing picker for them. And now that their roster looks like a genuine rotation that you can trust a starter and a backup. Because I think that there's maybe some holes to be placed with the backup center position. They did bring in Jackson Hayes, second fly on a young dude who was a louder pick, who would be a highlight reel, but never really found his foot in New Orleans. You did the same thing with Cam Reddish, but I would like them to shore up that backup center position, especially when you consider Anthony Davis is the starting center of the team. You definitely want at least a decent backup center there, but there's time to do that, whether it be signing somebody who's available, and I don't know who is of it, Christian Wood. No, sign somebody that's available, or making a trade later down the line, the buyout market. There's going to be a world, and it ended up with a solid backup center regardless. Center's still available, Christian Wood, Mo Bamba. But they waived, bro. He ain't coming back. Biyombo is available. Blake Griffin, Montrezl Harrell, Frank Kaminsky. It's slim pickings. It's for show slim pickings out there. But you know what I'm saying? You need something. If we could get the version of Anthony Davis, this is from December last year, if you could get this ad for full season, because we've been waiting on Anthony, we've been waiting on him to take the torch away from Bron. If you could get this version of ad for a season, and you could say, Bron, chill out, bro. We know you're very, very good at basketball. We kind of want you for the playoffs because it's been a few years in a row now where you feel like, you raced to the finish line just for you to be injured. When it mattered the most, take a step back. We got you. But again, I really, really love this offseason. You took a fly on Cam Reddish. And at this point, if it doesn't work for Cam, I don't know what to say. It's been Atlanta. It's been New York. It's been Portland, and obviously always shows us flashes. There's a reason why he's a 10th overall pick. There's a reason why these teams won't give up on him, because he shows you those flashes. This is an opportunity more than any to make it happen. Let me know what you think. Do you think the Lakers won the offseason? One of the winners of offseason? Or are we just blowing smoke because the Lakers